I don't want your damn money. I need you to go back inside. 30 tabs of Celgene, got it?
There's no way I can fill that level of prescription.
Word on the street. You can fill a lot of things.
Watch out.
Northwest, lower level, garage, clear.
Copy.
I'm heading towards southwest locker. JC?
Right. Well, you've had the musical experience, the dramatic experience, and then we see you in the film Holiday Touchdown.
Yeah.
So much different than the two experiences that you just described. But,
Yeah.
still, I would imagine that was a new and exciting way of expressing yourself. So tell us about that experience as well as Rise and Shine as a background actor. Those things are really important to your career, correct?
Yes, yes, they are. And just I say for any actor, no gig is too small, no role is too small, because really we're all coming together to make something so much bigger than ourselves. We're only small pieces to the puzzle. So I did background for both of those productions, but those were a couple of feature films that on a bigger scale that I've never been a part of. So obviously I'm going in there with a mind of wanting to be taught and to watch as much as I can, because these productions are on this big level. They have all this equipment, all these background actors, and all this different stuff, right? And these
Yeah.
big, huge, fancy cameras. You know what I mean? Like our cost people's tuitions. You know what I mean? That is it's big. Going from theater to film, because I've for context for people, I've only been doing film for about 5 years now, but 5 years before that, I was theater actor. So really, I've been delving into film and seeing on various short films and feature, but being on Holiday Touchdown was really fantastic. I did Rise and Shine shortly before that, and that was a great experience. It's about a young woman, young teenage girl going into high school, and she has cerebral palsy, and her dream is to go to high school. So it's basically following her experience and how she finds her people, finds her sense of identity and self. And yes, I'm really excited for that one to come out. But Holiday Touchdown in particular, I actually got to be very much more involved in. I was a background actor, but I also was a stand-in. So I started off as a background actor and worked a few days and showed up, and because I had the time and really wanted to be a part of it. And I was noticed by the first AD, being Brooks, and he very funny guy, one of the funniest first ADs I've ever encountered. He's always joking, always this and that, but obviously always locked in with this little mic, going in, talking to the director, talking to people, and
Yeah.
everything like that. But he had such a fine balance of fun and professionalism, which I really appreciated and really loved to see from him. And he was really hooting. He basically thinking, was like, "Hey man, you want to be a stand-in?" I was, sure. And I got on and I got to work 10 of the 15 shoot days. And I got to work really closely with the actors as well. I got to stand in for Chiefs players, got to stand in for so many great actors. And, Tyler Hines, Hunter King, I was watching them very intently and very closely, as just them being lead actors, and me wanting to be a lead actor one day. I'm looking at them, I'm seeing how they move, I'm seeing how they interact with people, and the amount of humility that these people have is so astounding. You're people doing press tours and constant interviews and everything like, but they still have a sense of humanity and humility about them. That was just fantastic to see, because I feel that can be a misconception about people in this business, that people aren't nice, people are stuck up, people are, think they're better than people. But really, I didn't see any of that. I got to chat with some of them sometimes, and and I felt really involved in the process. And I got to see all this big equipment and crazy stuff. We
Right,
got to shoot at the Kauffman Stadium, and they had this huge crane of this huge green screen that's basically the size of a house, or like small, like basically. And they basically put it behind us, and they had these chairs that they painted to make a basically a flashback scene. And
right.
they did all that just for that one scene, and to see all these people come together and think everyone's talking in between, just moving, really getting to see how a huge like Hallmark, movie is made. I'm just like, wow, this is just like no level of film I've ever been a part of. So it was really amazing to see all the moving pieces on such big feature films like that. Because I mean, it was actually the number one cable movie last year, and I
Right.
was actually featured in a lot of the background. You could see me in a lot of those scenes, so that was the most exposure I got up to that point, basically.
Yeah.
And it was really great getting to learn from everybody and those people, and it was one of my favorite experiences for sure.
Well, it was a moment for me, all right, and for my husband.
Mhm.
And we're watching the movie. We're like, it's Gideon, it's Gideon.
Wow, wow. Yes, thank you so
So
much.
cool
Wow.
to hear you speak about, the equipment and all of those scenes, because I watched the whole thing, and so I'm seeing those parts that you're speaking about. Remembering that as you're talking about it. But yeah, that was definitely a moment, and it was so exciting to be able to say, oh, look, it's Gideon, and to know you and see your growth, even expanding in that moment. So yeah, we're Kansas City proud when it comes to you, Mr. Gideon
Oh,
Madison.
thank you. That means the world to me. Thank you so much for your support. Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, let's talk a little bit more about um the films that you're now entering into. You said you've been in films for about 5 years now. So tell us
Yeah.
about some of the other projects, and tell us about some of the new projects that are coming that have come your way.
All right. So, I'm just gonna do a short overview. Really, where I started with film. And I'm gonna make a message to people. Please link up with your friends and make stuff. If you have an interest and wanting to get involved, just try to help as much as you can. It's like, hey, I have an interest in this. Like, I can do background. I can, be on the crew. I can be a PA. Because really, that's where a lot of this business is within these relationships, and really, um, just cultivating a creative environment where you can be vulnerable, you can be yourself with your friends and people, and have people you trust. So how I started in film is I collaborated with a friend of mine, Devin Juden, who's actually out in LA right now, and he had. He was getting around to making his first short film, and he was very much in the crew and working. All in the industry and within film, and he assembled a crew, and they basically all came together to work for free for him because they believed in this story so much. I met Devin actually in men's group at church, and and I was there with my best friend, and and everything, Ezekiel Kindle. Shout out to him, also in LA right now. And he basically cast us as soon as he learned that we were actors, and he was like, "Hey, I have roles in mind for you guys, and I would like you to be a part of my project." And that was basically like our first ever film, anything. As all we had known is theater at that point, and we were trying to find out how to get into the film space. And lo and behold, in men's group, we find someone that's in it and doing it. And yeah, it was called Ushers at the Drive-In, and it's this cute little rom-com about a drive-in, and the main character Ezekiel, the manager, leaves. and he has to leave for his wife, and he basically the main character has to make sure nothing goes awry, goes wrong. And I'm basically like the coworker friend of his that's kind of a slacker, kind of this or that. And
Okay.
that was a really great experience. And then shortly after that, I did a solo project with Devin, a more dramatic piece called In His Hands. Has yet to be released, but it's very ambitious project. It was basically a one man thing. Uh, it's about a man that's strung out and tired from work, and is just tired. He has no sense of belonging or community, and he's just strung out. And um, in the piece, there's a voicemail going off of his mother talking, just whole bunch of stuff that he doesn't want to hear, and he's just looking at something. He throws something at the voicemail box, and the next thing you know, he's somewhere else, and he's basically dying. And yeah, like that was a really great experience for me, as just because I see myself as a dramatic actor. I see it as my basically my bread and butter. So being able to have something I starred in for my second project was really amazing. And after that, I went on to do a whole bunch of short films. Um, Tammy Terrell being one of them last year. After These Messages came out last year at the American Black Film Festival. Um, I did Oblation recently, The Lion's Share, Perfect Machines, and a lot of these projects, really great short film stuff, and to help build my skills as a film actor, and all leading up to a feature I have coming out next month called The Gesture 2. um and yeah, that's by far my biggest project. It's in select theaters September 15th and 16th, so anyone that wants to check it out in the States can check it out soon. But just a short overview of my film career. I've gotten to play androids, villains, heroes, um so many different types of people. Upcoming, I'm doing another short film with KU, called I Don't Feel Funny, or I play a comedian. Like, uh, after These Messages, I played a reporter. So many of these different projects, I'm getting to really diversify my I guess palette, I guess you could say, in terms of characters. And I've been so fortunate to be a part of all of these different projects, because I feel like I learned so much from each of them. And I'm just happy to be able to do more of it.
Yeah. Well, as I was going over some of your background and particularly with the Tammy Terrell, just to let you know a little bit about me. I was born in Michigan, in a city
Mhm.
outside of Detroit, but I was right there in that Motown era, as you can see by the
Yeah.
gray in my hair. I have that kind of background, right?
Hmm.
But that whole Tammy Terrell story with uh her with her duet with Marvin Gaye,
Hmm.
and the experience that she had, just so you know, that I mean like that was a whole conversation like within our family, and
Yeah.
for you to be able to kind of go back in time to experience what that that era, I just personally, I'd like to know a little bit more about that experience, that project that you did.
Yes, I love to talk about that. That was an amazing experience. Another experience where I got to play a real person. I played David Ruffin of the Temptations in that. Um, and yeah, for those who didn't know, David Ruffin and Tammy Terrell dated for a period of time. And, David Ruffin, as he rose to fame, his character deteriorated as well. He actually, wa- was a heavy addict, uh, really arrogant, very just not a good guy. After My Girl had came out, he basically thought that he was the crown jewel of the group, and it should be called David Ruffin and the Temptations.
Right.
So, It was another chance for me to play a real character, a real person that lived and died, which I'm always gonna want to take an opportunity like that. I
Yeah.
love playing real people, and because really you have a lot to study, you have a lot to go off of from a whole person's life, and I love that aspect. But that piece in particular was written by a dear friend of mine, Jordan Nevels, who starred as Tammy Terrell in that short film, and amazing actress, amazing story. I loved being a part of that. She um, wrote it, and a person named Audrey directed it. And basically, that was another. I around that time, I don't think I had played like sort of villain characters yet, so
Mhm.
it was kind of different for me, um, being that antagonist in a scene and being an abusive, cocaine snorting, just difficult guy. And I'd never done that up to that point. I just played mostly people on the good side of things, and
Yeah.
that was definitely an exploration that I had to take. I had to kind of you know peel back myself and my ego, and how because as an actor you really have to do that constantly, to take
Yeah.
yourself away from the content, because you'll think about, oh, how I'm perceived, especially in this day and age with social media. You don't want to be perceived a certain way, right?
Right.
And I felt like, oh, I don't want people to see me about, but really you have to remind yourself that it's not about you. It's just not your story in particular. This is a real person that lived or died, and you took the job. So you have to portray it in a way that's true,
Yeah.
always. So really, and there's an in particular scene where, David gets angry. He goes, snorts a line, and he goes back and talks to Tammy, and he gets physical with her. He takes, and I let out this kind of primal grunt from me, and I never even thought of, doing something like that. But sometimes as an actor, it's like you really do got to strip the ego, a little bit, and really just think about the story at large that you're trying to tell.
Check out the full episode of OnStage on Fave Unite TV. We think you'll love the short films, podcasts, and other amazing content on Fave Unite TV. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Fave Unite TV. We're here for Black stories and Black storytelling, showcasing the culture 24/7, 365 on Fave Unite TV.